How is everyone? This time I tried adding myself to the stream after I muted the YouTube browser. That way I couldn't have the echo, but I could still have it open. Dart Sport, David James is here. Aaron Henry from the other side of the world. Andrew Nelson is here. And you guys are welcome to jump in. This is going to be the last live I do of the off season, so to speak, because next week we're going to be at PRI. I've got guests lined up. I've got guests lined up when I get back. Just kept the format simple for about a month after No Name Nationals, but the season begins again here. Pretty much already begun, but it's going to start up soon. Pure Pontiac Garage is here. My Aunt Nancy's in the house. John Copa's here. Roland is here. Yeah. What do you guys want to get into? I know that next week, Dallas and Professor P and I will be live from PRI somewhere there. We'll be doing a live. And I know they closed the building down at a weird hour because their hours are not like YouTubers' hours. They're 9 to 5 people. So I'm not sure exactly where we're going to do the live from. Should be able to do it from there at Indianapolis. At the convention center somewhere. Dallas said there's plenty of places. Just sneak us a Wi-Fi signal and we're good. So we'll probably be doing it from PRI, whether the floor is open or not. And then I'd like to do it right before the Pontiac Power Hour and right before Buff and Ray. And then after that, I've got a guest that I cannot confirm until Wednesday morning. But as soon as I get that confirmation, make sure the schedule's going to work, I'll put that up and he'll be my regular Friday guest at this same time a week from right now. But that's the plan. And then I got more stuff in the works I'm working on, waiting on phone calls to come back. Some of the people I want to have for guests are hard to get on camera, and that's why I want them for guests. Got Barrows here. B-Dub's Garage is here. B-Dub's Garage is doing a Magnum. It's his first Magnum motor. Anxious to follow that. I hope that Duster, I hope he gets that Duster or whatever, or something together, or anything, or just shows up to the No Name Nationals. Any build will get his subs. Andrew Nelson says we'll be there for the live if you can stand us. Yeah, so we're still trying to work that out. I'm going up Wednesday, and our plan is to do it on, because Wednesday is going to be just too chaotic. So there's not going to be an AHRA Tech Live on that Wednesday next week. Instead, we'll be going live on Thursday before the Pontiac Power Hour. That's the idea as of right now. But we're going to do that on Dallas's channel. And so we'll have to make sure we work all that out with him. But yeah, man, we're all for it. The more the merrier. Barrows and Buck. Mom's here in the house. Wendy English is here. JB's Little Shop says, let's go. Well, come on, JB. Let's go. You can jump on. Yeah, I'm trying to get things in order. I was going to fix exhaust pipe on the van today, get my grinder out and everything. And then I realized, I said, all of my long extension cords that I need to do this are 78 miles away. So that's great. So anyway, yeah, couldn't do that. Actually, if it was warmer, I'd have fixed the exhaust on the live. Why not? And just set up a tripod right under the van and run grinder, run welder and everything. Andrew says no spark shows this time. Yeah, they're probably not as lenient at the Indiana Convention Center as they were in the conference room there at the Best Western. I keep waiting for Best Western to say, no, we're not booking to you again, because each year we give them a good reason for them to not want us back, but each year they're still cool. It's like a challenge to Don English there. No, they're very gracious. We like staying there. Dust Devil's here. Says, I'm here. I made it. Well, cool. I'm glad you're here, man. That Duster's really coming along. Brian's Duster's looking good. He's got interior in that thing. Yeah. Andrew Nelson says screwdriver attacks are not welcome at Indy. Yeah, we probably can't get away with driving a screwdriver into the wall to hold up a sign that says 76 days to go. Although we're hoping to have a number by then. We're close. We're really close. I can say that the ball for getting that date confirmed is not in my court. So we're close. Dust Devil says, is this the last Blank Orange Paper Friday? Maybe. It may well be. But I will say, even if it's not, it's close. Our goal was to have this ready to announce by the end of the year, and we could have it as early as next Thursday. But if not, we'll still have it by the end of the year. So if we don't have it, because see, I don't want to announce anything until we have everything I's dotted and T's crossed. That's what we want to make sure to launch this thing one time and have all the info right. That's the idea. So could I give you an 85, 90% confidence? Probably. But you know what? If it lands on that 10% and we have to change something, I don't want to do that. So that is the idea. Wendy said I had fun with them in Carlisle. Oh, yeah, it was a blast. I always have a blast hanging out with the Englishes at Carlisle. And Buck was there, and the Nelsons came to see if we could burn down the conference room with a Roadrunner horn. We had a good time. I see Don and Ron are here. Crazy things happen when we get two of those together. JB says, I think we're only a few days away waiting on the date. Well, that's the idea. We are trying. Evans Mopar says, I'm just listening while at work. Well, thanks for listening, Scott with an S. Always glad to have you. I'm really surprised. I don't know what to make of it, but how many people actually will watch and or listen to this after it's live. We probably have just as many and probably more will go back and listen to this after the live than when it was live, which really surprises me because I would have thought that the interaction with the chat would have been most important. But it just seems to me that the biggest deal is people just want to see what my guests and I do, I guess. Got something from the Nelsons. Andrew, you want me to show this on screen? This is part of their preparations for 2023 season. Yeah, confirm if you want me to show this. The Nelsons don't mess around. Yeah, so the Nelsons are apparently planning to launch a car into outer space. They're regearing. So they're getting ready for battle. What do we have there? Looks like a pretty conservative gear by most street rodder standards, but that's a really stout chunk you've got there. Looks like an all aluminum 9-inch case, steel spools. That's some nice hardware. Yeah, Heavens Mopar says sometimes the only time you can listen is after they're recorded. Yeah, well, I appreciate that. I've tried to be, in the last couple of years, better at, and Brian, Dust Devil Garage, saying the same thing. I'm trying to be better at making sure to read when I put them up on the screen so that people listening later or listen to this in podcast form or whatever will be able to follow the conversation a little better. I try to remember that even though a lot of you guys watch this probably I'd say 60, 65% or more just listen. And it's not that we're anything to look at, so more power to you, but I do try to make it a listenable format. Dean Stevenson listens to them before they are recorded. I guess that's because he's on the other side of the earth. That's impressive. So Don there, the one-eyed cat is saying, I dropped a short a bit ago, lasted 20 minutes, then fell off in the face of the earth. I got 6 subs. I'll take it. Absolutely. Take it. That's great. Johnny C says maybe they come back to you view later. Yeah, whatever it is, that's great. Just because I don't have a life and do this on Friday evenings doesn't mean that you guys shouldn't. So I'm thrilled whenever you want to watch or listen or whatever. So Andrew's saying he's got a 325 and a 350 gear, and he needs that for the speeds he wants to get the traps in. It's great. Buff's Garage just saying hey while driving. Well, hello, Buff. Glad you're here. I was telling the chat a little bit earlier that the idea is that we have penciled in is that we're going to try to do a live there from the convention center there in Indianapolis from PRI. I'd like to schedule it so that we are handing off to the Pontiac Power Hour. That's the idea, but I've not been there before, so I don't know the logistics of it. That's what we're going to shoot for. Dallas says that we've got enough free range and not cavernous place in there. As long as we can swipe a good Wi-Fi signal, we're good to go. So that's what we're going to try to do. And then I'll have guests booked next Friday and beyond. I just gave getting guests booked a little bit of a rest here after the No Name Nationals because I was so far behind working on the house that I wasn't for sure guaranteed that I could get everything prepared in time. Those of you guys who do live shows know it is a lot of work and a lot of preparation. So I thought I'm going to keep it flexible for about a month, 6 weeks, and then we're going to go back to a regular format beginning next week and going forward. But part of it is I try to book guests that are a little bit harder to book. Not that they're intentionally harder to book, but because they you don't see them and you don't get to hear them as often. So I've got one guest I'm working on booking now that I have never seen an interview with this guy. Never. I'd love to get one. I don't know if he's ever done one. Certainly a lot's been written about what he's done. But sometimes when we try to book guests like that, it's harder. Yeah, Bear Rose is talking about how the shorts go dormant and they come back out. Bear Rose has really learned a lot about the YouTube game. Colleen Tebow is asking, who knows the formula to figure out RPM with gear ratio and tire size? I had it written down but can't find it. Well, Colleen, I'm going to go from memory. There's 63,360 inches in a mile, and you can use that to figure out how many revolutions your tire will make. If you take the diameter, multiply it by pi, 3.1415926, that'll give you how many revolutions your tire makes in a mile. And you can use that to figure out your RPM at 60 because you got a 1-to-1 gear and you know your rear end gear ratio, or at least you can play with those numbers and get your RPM at 60 miles an hour. And then from there, you can divide by 60 and multiply it by whatever mile per hour and get the RPM. That's how I've always done it. I think that's right off the top of my head. But if not, I would be willing to bet that Andrew Nelson will know to the millionth of a decimal exactly what I've got wrong in there. Those are our green line rule engineering folks. Yeah, see, gear ratio times. Yeah, so he's got a constant that he's made of that. Yes, exactly. Yeah, he's just made a constant of it. That works just fine. I don't usually use constants in my formula because I'm always thinking about how they work in case something needs to change. Like sometimes when people do their cubic inch formula, they'll make a constant. where I don't. I always do pi divided by 4, and then I have the number of cylinders. And sometimes what they'll do is combine all of that, and they'll take the diameter of their cylinder, and they'll, or not that, but what they'll do is they'll do pi divided by 4, and then they'll go ahead and use 8. But what they've done then is they've made a formula that only works for V8 engines. And then you got another constant. You have yet one more number to keep in your head. But if you see, for me, if that's pi divided by 4, I use pi for all kinds of other stuff. So it's one more number I don't have to keep in my head. So anyway, whatever works for you, do whatever you want. Real life is open book. So do it however you want. Yes, Dust Devil Garage. I like pie. I like my Aunt Nancy's chocolate pie. She's on here too. She usually has chocolate pies. We make chocolate pie when we go down there. Andrew Nelson has an expanded formula with converter slip and transmission overdrive in the equation. Yeah, I agree. But to me, if I can figure it out at 1-to-1, that's 60, then I can do anything from there. I can figure out converter slip. I can figure out overdrive. I can change tires, whatever. It all that way. Again, it's whatever works for you. There's usually, with most everything when it comes to math, there are a few good ways to do it and a whole bunch of bad ones. And so as long as you have one of the few that are good and do work, you're good. The main thing is understanding what you're doing and why you're doing it. That's the main thing, because if you're trying to do formulas and do math and you don't actually understand what you're calculating, that can cause all kinds of problems, because you can make a substitution or mistake and not know where it went wrong. And that creates problems. It's kind of funny. I remember watching the guys that were doing the siding on my place in Bluefield. I've got two guys doing the siding, and it's interesting. One of them always measures from the same end of the siding. So if there's a cut that's got to be made in two places, he measures all of them from one end. So you cut here and cut there, and you take out whatever you need to take out. The other one took a lot to get used to that, because he was always thinking measure from each end. Well, that would work if the siding was always exactly the same length, but it's not. You can pull two 12-foot pieces of siding out of the box, and one will be 12 feet and a half inch. The other will be 12 foot 1 1/4. They're not really that exact, because they bow when they're in the machine that cuts them. Yeah, Dean Stevenson likes 3.14159. I carry it 2 more, but it doesn't matter. It's how many you want, because it's got an infinite number of decimal points. So it doesn't, as long as you're in the right ballpark. I mean, believe me, how many decimals that you carry pi is not nearly as important as how much air you put in the tires. I mean, seriously, you could do one burnout, you'll change the diameter of that tire more than by the time you get out 8-10 places of pi. So it is not that important. Exactly. Andrew Nelson's saying 6 to 1200 horsepower. They force you to include converter slip. Absolutely. I agree with that. But with most things today have a lockup torque converter. Just depends what you're working on. Depends what you're figuring. So you guys also have to figure what's the actual radius of your tire on launch. What's the radius of your tire on the big end? See, those things change too. One-Eyed Cat says we need in-play and siding applications. Need room for expansion. Oh yes, that we've been doing plenty. Two Hacks Garage has got 8 eyes in here. Sam Mountain Ballistics is asking how it's going. Well, it's going fine, sir. I see that you were at 99 subscribers yesterday. Have you broken 100, Hunter? If you've not, you will right now. Thank you, Wendy. Rose is saying construction measurements. You measure it with a micrometer, calculate it with a degree wheel, and cut it with a chainsaw. actually seen something pretty close to that before. It's called forgetting your sawzall, you know. Sam Mountain Ballistics got up to 100 yesterday. Well, I will tell you, you guys are not subscribed to Sam Mountain Ballistics. That's Dakota's younger brother, Hunter. And like Dakota, he's very sharp. He's a Pontiac guy. He's got lots of cool stuff he's working on. And I'm anxious to see him get on his content and get some subscribers. I'd like to see him make it to the No Name Nationals in 2023. It is just around the corner. And those are two great guys. Dakota and Hunter are great guys, good members of our community. Really want to see them get to do whatever it is they want to do at the 2023 No Name Nationals. BNR made it past 50 this week. Wow, you must have lost 447 subscribers to do it. There we go. He made it past 500. Well, that's cool. That's good. Scarlet the Four-Eyed Cuda says, measure once, cut twice, and weld it. Spencer's food reviews is here. Spencer, I watched one of your food reviews, and you were tasting, I can't remember what it was. Was it chips? There was something you were tasting two of. And I'm surprised that a food reviewer did not take a drink of water between the two foods. That surprised me. So how do you know if the second food you're not getting residual taste from whatever that was you ate before? Inquiring minds want to know, Spencer. So Hunter there, Sam Mountain Ballistics has some video ideas, but the weather's been keeping me from it. I tell you, that weather's nasty. I was outside today, and even though it was about 50, shouldn't be that bad. It was not a sunny, nice, calm wind 50 at all. It was the north side of the house, wind going just enough to have an ugly chill to it in the shade. Gross 50. I didn't care for it at all. But then I didn't have my extension cord. I'm like, well, I can't do anything out here anyway. Ron English is saying should be a really big crowd for next year's No Name Nationals. Oh, yeah. Fully expect it. Fully expect it, because looks like everybody wants to come back, and everybody wants to outdo themselves who was there last year. And a lot of people who didn't make it want to make it, some people couldn't, some people had terrible misfortune. Some people are like, nah, I'll skip it. And then when they saw what they missed, are like, oh man. So for whatever reason, we got lots of people who want to turn out. And I think that's great. Hunter says, I got a lot of plans for the Star Chief. I'm going to try to have it pretty much finished before No Name. Yeah, his start is 63 Pontiac Star Chief. When you say you're going to have it pretty much finished, they're never supposed to be finished. They're always just supposed to be works in progress, and they can get to really good states, and a state where you want to preserve them more than you want to keep changing them. That's fine. But well, I will say B&R, they say when you get close to 500, hammer away with the shorts. We're definitely not going to have we're not going to have pirated content people are just using to get their subs. That takes all of the integrity out of what we're doing. We want to build a community with people that have their own content for their own channel, their own original subs, who want to watch their stuff. And to me, that's what it's about. Shorts are fine, but I think, there's different ways you can do it. I've seen shorts that are just junk for clicks. And then you got dudes with wrenches. His shorts, man, that guy puts a lot of work and effort into doing the shorts. So they're all over the map. Shorts is kind of the Wild West of shorts right now, where YouTube is trying to play catch up to TikTok. And why you'd want to emulate something that's so inferior, I don't know, but that's what they're doing. There must be money in it for them. Ron English says they are mostly perpetual projects. Yes, as they should be. Dean Stevenson is saying Mr. 4.84-inch bore spacing 402 big block. That would be correct. Unlike the big block Mopar 4.80. I see Street Fox 347's in here. Mike, would you like to jump in? The link's pinned at the top. We all know what an extrovert Street Fox Mike is. You're welcome to join, though. Mike's a cool cat. He was at Sykeston, and I had met him before that. We had lunch, he and Buck and I had lunch as Buck was rolling through from the north into Tennessee. Yeah, Street Fox says, thanks, though, but no, yeah. It's not your style, is it, man? Well, you're welcome, though. So, Street Fox, if sometime we go to a race down here at Motor Mile or Elk Creek, can we do a live from there? Will you be on a live with me if we do that? So Hunter wants to get his Cobra 2 on the road in 2023. Yeah. I got to take a tour of Hunter and Dakota's place there. That's a neat place. Barrow says, dude with wrenches has mastered the shorts. Yes, he has. Yes, he has. That guy knows how to give a 1 minute short the best 1 minute of content ever. He's really good at it. He is really good at it. And if that was what people did with shorts, I would just say, wow, this is a really useful thing. But that's not, unfortunately. Most of what people do with shorts are they just sit there like a zombie and pan, and they don't engage, they don't comment. Some of them click subscribe, but to me, it's definitely lowering the overall quality bar, but YouTube wants to have what they want to have. Bigfoots and Mopars is here. How you doing, Mark? Your car came up in conversation today. I was talking with Frank Parks. I don't know if Frank Parks is watching or not, but he just was mentioning a really good-looking car that he saw at Notre Dame National. Is that Jack Pine Savage. I said, oh, yeah, everybody universally agrees it's a beautiful car. And Frank will tell you he's not a racer. He's a restorer. He's not a racer, but he likes your car. So. Hey, John Wilbur, you good cookies. 15 and 18 degree font of knowledge. Well, you mean not 18 and 23 degree font of knowledge? I remember my buddy Robert would angle mill his big block Ford heads more extreme than anybody I'd ever seen. He would roll that head so far, and it had a port plate. He would pour it into the port plate, and he would roll the head to the inside, trying to get rid of that horrible tight turn that Ford heads make on the outside because shock towers that Fords have. Anyway, he just had this little rail that you couldn't cut yourself on it, but it was close to seal the valve cover on the bottom side. And I guess, it's better to change that valve angle than it is to deal with that exhaust side. But I don't know. That's a Ford thing primarily. If you look at the exhaust side on a small block or a big block Mopar for that matter, it's worlds better. They don't have that tight, practically 180 they make. Turbo Tom says, I have no shorts. I think he says, I have videos that are short. Yeah. I do short every now and then. Not too often. They're all right. They're just, I know they're like quick engagement. It's kind of like a cross between Instagram and TikTok. Travis's Mopar Garage is here. How's it going, Mr. Travis? David James says, want to bring my 70 Barracuda this next time. Cool. If the question is 70 Barracuda, the answer is pretty much always yes. Two Hex says I'm just short but tall on camera. Okay. Sam Mountain Ballistic says shorts are quick to get views and subs. That's for sure. Yeah, all kinds of things are. But I mean, you know, what is the goal? Is it all just about views and subs, or is it about quality of content? I mean, that's the point of setting a low subscriber bar. I mean, we could make the subscriber bar 5,000. We sure could. And then you'd be surprised how many people would easily get 5,000. What they would do is they would just be blitzing 20, 30 shorts a day, and you wouldn't even know anything about them or their projects or anything from the shorts. They would all just be from anything and everywhere else. But that's not the point. The point is to have a little barrier of entry so that people have to work for it, appreciate it, have some accountability as a content creator. And we saw that worked for 99%. But, you know, the shorts are becoming an inroad around that, frankly. For as far as that goes, shorts are counterproductive, but they do get numbers, but that's really it. BNR, I said that hopefully I'll be able to make an announcement on date and place and general schedule next week. I'm hoping to. The ball is not in my court as of right now. And if I don't have it next week, if we still don't have everything, all the I's dotted, all the T's crossed next week, I still do plan to have it by New Year's Eve, which was the original plan anyway. And then when PRI came up, I said, well, you know, it'd be nice if we had it a little ahead of time. So Pure Pontiac Garages, it's harder for some people though, John. Yes, as is everything in life. It's harder for some people than others. Yes, that's true. Levi says about a 98% chance his ramp truck's going to show up. Well, cool. That's great. I like ramp trucks. Ramp trucks are always cool. Dennis Richardson is asking, so what was your biggest surprise coming out of No Name Nationals? Coming out of it? I don't know. I think if you want to know what my biggest surprise was coming out of the event, there were all kinds of surprises going into it, all kinds of surprises at the event. If I want to pick up one surprise coming out of it, it probably was how little off season most of these people wanted. It's amazing. I mean, it's like they didn't even want an off season. I mean, I can't believe how many people are working on their 2023 rides right now. See, Daddy's Money Garage just sneaked in here. Rabbit Transit J, how you doing, man? First Responder Garage says, I just put my bids in for next year for annual. Hopefully I choose when the No Name Nationals is happening. We are working on it. Hunter's saying if I can't make a video or don't have time, I'll at least try to throw a short out, make something fun. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Yeah. Bear Rose says, I like the 500 marker, but last year my goal was monetization, not the money, but to hit the YouTube requirements. Yeah. Bear Rose is a good example of what happens if you just, you know, you pay attention, you take the advice of people that have been there and done that, and you stay on it and you stay on it and you keep after it. And Bear Rose he's a great role model for what people can do who are aspiring to get their subscribers and get in. Daddy's Money Garages, I bought the most dangerous automotive accessory I could find from the 60s. Yes. Dust Devil says the shorts will give you subs, but long form videos give you views and watch time. Yeah, I think that you got to have a balance, and that's kind of that's gonna determine what we do long term. If everybody just kind of waits and says, well, I can blitz shorts for 3 months and get there, then that changes what we got to do. Spencer's Food Reviews got 100 subs in a couple of weeks. Yeah, man. Unity Motorsports Garage. Andy Wood is in the house. How you doing, man? It's Friday and it's only 8:30, so Andy's not pressed for bedtime quite as much. I'm glad you're here, man. Andy said it's good to see everyone. Well, you're always seeing me. You're seeing all the thumbnails and comments. Yeah, man, I'm glad you're here. Andy's a good dude. One of the things I like, so the people that I hang out with on YouTube, by and large, are people that I have met outside of YouTube and even before the No Name Nationals, and they're all people of good character. So when you see them being good people on YouTube, they really are. Like, if you met Andy in the grocery store and had no idea he had a channel or anything, you would meet a guy just as good a person as you see on YouTube. And that's the kind of people that I like to be associated with. The people who are the same everywhere, on YouTube and off, and they're the same character. I say that about Andy and a lot of you guys whom I've met and all, same thing. Daddy's Money Garage. Yeah, we don't do that here. They can go be bidders somewhere else. We have better things to do. We actually have, cars to build and races to do and all that. Mopars, Mustangs, and Minivans says tomorrow is a big day. Every day should be a big day. Every day should be a big day. Really, it is. Cope Racing Transmission says 80% of my views are from non-subs. Yeah, really, that's the truth. I look at that and I'm like, man, who are all these people? But it's true. Travis hasn't gotten a lot of subs with shorts. Well, some people do, some don't. A lot of shorts is luck, frankly. Andy says his dad always said to say what you mean and mean what you say. Yep. Whitetail Ranger says you wouldn't like me then because I don't have a YouTube channel. You do too. You're on here. You have a channel. You have a username. You just may not have uploaded any content to it. No. So I have no reason to dislike you at all. I appreciate you being here. BNR says 99% of my views are from non-subs. Oh, that's interesting. David James can't wait to see a burnout. There's plenty coming, believe me. Evans Mopar says it takes years to build good character, but only seconds to destroy it. Absolutely. Heron says I have more subs than videos on my channel. That's actually going to be true in general, though, because you're going to have more subs than videos. You should. I probably have a few hundred videos. You're going to have more subscribers than videos. Levi says, I'm excited to see the sub number so I can start worrying again. I miss worrying. Oh, man, that's great. That's the comment of the night so far. But Levi, if it's 1,000 subs, you're going to do it. Because think about it. The second 500 is much easier than the first 500. Once you've got 500 to build on, the second 500 is significantly easier. In fact, what happens is I've noticed the guys that got 500 quit worrying about it, quit thinking about it, and the 1,000 just sneaked right up on them. They didn't even think about it. Travis is going to try to have Old Red doing a burnout here in 2 weeks. Excellent. I know it gets cold where you are, but it gets cold you're a little behind us. It gets colder here first. Yeah, 2Hex says 500 goes to 1,000 fast, 1,000 to 2,000 or even quicker. Yes, that is true. Pure Pontiac Garage says 13 subs. It's a long way to the top. Well, let me tell you, those first 13 took you a whole lot longer to get than Nobody who ever started the channel and started engaging. So you'll believe me, you'll get your next 13 a whole lot faster than your first 13, and you'll get to 100 and 200 and 500 and 1,000. So if you want to engage in the community and share what you do and participate, it flies by. And that is the key for all of it. Really, it is. When you look at, we had 65 channels register for the No Name 500, and 45 of them got their subscribers. And for the most part, it was community engagement. Every one of them that had consistent community engagement all the way through the season got it. And you know, it's everybody's results vary. If everything was predictable, if everything worked according to script and plan, it wouldn't be exciting. We do this because, you know, it doesn't always play out according to script. That's what makes it exciting. But the great news is that those who didn't quite make it, you got another chance. 2023 is right here. But what we don't want to do is talk about it in terms of, well, one of these years I'll do it. That's the thing that is just crippling to think about it like that. You got to not think about it that way. You got to think about it like this may be the last chance I have, and keep that fresh effort at the tip of the spear. That's really important. Heavens Mopar is struggling a little bit, 500 to 1,000. But also, have you been making the content like you made during the first 500? That's the key. It'll pick back up, believe me. Yeah, but see, you guys have been stuck. Remember, the power that was behind all those hashtag videos and cross promotion and all of these things that were moving targets, trying to land in the same place, Sikeston, Missouri, on the same day, September 30th. That was really helping push everybody. It was kind of like a big draft, you know, at Daytona. So it's not surprising that things slack a little, and then it will jump back up. Whitetail Rancher, that's cool, man. If you don't want to make content and deal with the comments, that's cool too. No reason to worry about that. You can all do our own things. Two Hacks is digging Travis's other channel. Yeah, I watched a little bit of that. That's interesting. I like seeing what some of these guys do on other channels. I have thought about, you know, doing a different channel. I've thought about it, but this one is more than enough. I've had a lot of people tell me they'd like me to do a firearm channel, but it's so hard to deal with YouTube with a firearm channel, and having these people that just whimsically and unfairly will decide that something's a violation that shouldn't be, and I just don't want to deal with any of that. I had thought about it, but I don't train like I used to, and I wouldn't be making as good and continuous content as I used to, so I think I'll pass. But I considered that. Terry's Money Garage. You'll see, he's kind of the opposite of the Whitetail Rancher. He's my favorite part of the YouTube channel is the armchair advice in the comment section that even as a novice, I know is bad advice. Yeah, and that's the way it goes with YouTube. You'll always have hundreds of people who have no skin in the game telling you what's best for you. And, you know, probably 2% of them know what they're talking about. 98% are noise. And as a content creator, we got to figure that out. Colleen is saying 18 ppg. Okay. What is that? Two Hacks is asking Dean if he's a Tiny Tim impersonator. Dean is an unusual character. And When he posts something that doesn't look like it makes sense, usually you just need to study it a little more, and it actually does. It might take you 3 times to read it and say, "Oh, I see what he's doing there." Clever guy. Two Hack says, "Yep, the good old comment section experts." Oh yes. Depends what kind of mood I'm in, how much fun I want to have with some of the commenters. Dust Devil Garage is making sure that Austin knows that Steve Maggs said his car was cool. PPG parts per gallon. Well, yeah, it's also a paint brand, so I wasn't sure. Maggs is always right. I don't know. Maggs is probably usually right. Maggs is very smart. He's told me he wants to come back on, so I'll hit him up. And he said he had fun, and we'll have him on again sometime soon. First Responder Garage watched a known engine builder talk about lifters, but doesn't know the difference between convex and concave. Man, there is stuff that I have seen guys who were experienced at assembling engines make me cringe the stuff they don't know about engine theory. I mean, I'm not going to name any names. Man, I ran into one of those guys here a couple of months ago. Unbelievable. That guy has, I'm sure he's bolted a whole lot more engines together than I have, and I realize why there's no reputation for the stuff he's built in the community. You see why. The David Vizard had this scale that he has that's interesting. And yeah, there's certain limitations, when you're putting yourself a set of limitations in place with parts and so forth. But on a 10.5-to-1 engine, he said that he gives different brakes for how many pound-feet of torque per cubic inch an engine should make. And he says that a competent professional should be able to make 1.25 pound-feet of torque per cubic inch with a 10.5-to-1 compression engine. And it goes up from there. And if you're getting about 1.4, you're in the top 1% of professionals. So Vizards are about 1.4. Andy Woods are about 1.4. I'm going to strive for 1.4 on a build I've got coming up. Dudes with Wrenches is in the house. Glad you're here, man. We were just talking about you. We were talking about shorts, and I said that I think that you've got the shorts game figured out as far as how much quality you put into a short. Very admirable. But yeah, so when you look at some of these dyno numbers, some people will publish a big number, and then when you actually look at how many pound-feet of torque per cubic inch, that's how it really rates them. It's an interesting scale. I've seen some engines that are loud and make a lot of noise, and the absolute numbers don't look too bad. But you consider how many cubic inches they are. Then when you look at how many pound-feet of torque per cube, it's like, ooh. And bear in mind, too, that's what 10.5-to-1 compression. So if you're running 12 or 13-to-1 on E85, that number goes up. So then you can get more like 1.5, 1.6, something in there. I mean, pro stocks run that 1.6 territory or more. I saw Whitetail Rancher put up a comment. He says, no one person knows everything. Absolutely. The older you get, the more you realize how big the libraries, I say plural libraries, would have to be to hold all of the stuff we don't know. And it's humbling, but I'll tell you, it's interesting. I like to meet people who know a lot about something and see how they interact with their peers who also know a lot about something, and how their compasses converge into a true north about that one subject. To me, that's always really interesting. Archer Fiddler said, am I the only one who gets angry when I see a short? I don't get angry when I see them. The one thing I don't like YouTube does about shorts, they don't tell you whose channel it is. So you got always got this wonky thumbnail that's just whatever it was. It could be looking at someone's feet. You don't know whose channel it is. It's like, well, now I don't know if I even want to bother clicking on it. But that's because when I look at shorts, it's always on my desktop. Whitetail Rancher said the best thing I learned was how little I know. Well, hey, yeah, if that's what you need to keep learning more, that's great. That is great. Travis said anyone with stock parts should have 1-to-1. I think you can do that and better. Yep. Dudes with Wrenches said you can make thumbnails. The shorts is just a pain. Yeah, the few shorts I've done, I've put thumbnails on them. But usually when I'm taking a short, I think about it from the very beginning, and I think, okay, I'm going to start on whatever I want for a thumbnail and hold it there a second so that I know I've got my thumbnail. That's usually how I do it. Daddy's Money Garage, I'm going to make a short about their feet. Well, no, there's a lot of people doing that. They have a short and it's their feet walking to the toolbox. Dude says that YouTube is fixing the problem. We'll see. YouTube, they like to fix a problem and create two more that they didn't have before. That seems to be what YouTube likes to do. Shop 209 says, yo back, sir. I see Buck in here. Pure Pontiac Garage says, I've forgotten as much as I know. I would say if you really think about it, you probably forget a whole lot more in the aggregate than you ever know. Because we don't retain anywhere near half, nowhere near. So stands to reason we've all forgotten more than we'll ever know at some point. First Responder Garage says 1.3 NA. Vizard saying 1.4 NA. That's about where his average. Andy's Mixed Up Boss is 1.39 NA. And that's with as cast heads. His Mixed Up Boss has had no porting done on the heads. And it still made 708 horsepower. And it thing made 525 pound-feet everywhere. And it peaked around 6. I think it peaked at 596 or 598. Little tuning, and that will be a 600 pound-foot motor. But it was 525 across the whole usable range. That thing's a beast. 500 is the magic number for me, BNR says. I think I can make 500 pound-feet from a 340 Mopar. M Cube, you make me happy, Dean Stevenson said. Mopars, Mustangs, and minivans. BNR said just did a modern LS, makes 1.04 pound-feet per cube. 1.04 pound-feet per cube. That's not very stout. Yeah, Whitetail Rancher doesn't mind being wrong because he's never been wrong without learning something. Well, that's the big thing is when you're wrong, because we're all wrong, when we are wrong, because all of us are at some time, right? We want to learn stuff. What gets me are people who don't. Like if you step on the rake and you hit yourself with the rake, it's like, man, most people say, gosh, I shouldn't leave the rake laying on the ground like that, and I'll need to put the rake somewhere better. It's the people that step on the rake 3 and 4 times. And I say that figuratively. There's a lot of people that do that with a lot of different stuff. I only had to break one transmission pump to learn how to seat a torque converter. Fully admit to it. I snapped that pump in two because I didn't know how to seat a torque converter. But at least I haven't broken one since. Could I? Sure. But you know what? That was an expensive lesson that taught me how to make sure I get that right. So as we all pay tuition in the the school of making mistakes. We just want to get something out of it. The worst thing is to pay the tuition and not get anything out of it. That's the worst thing. That's devil says the rake's fault. Yeah, there you go. That's the way to keep stepping on the rake. Yeah, First Responder Garage says with a Harley, yeah, that's a whole different ball game because that formula is based on stuff that, the Fizard's formula is based on things like a V8. It doesn't scale out to other things quite the same. Dudes with wrenches says I've blown up 13 rear differentials and still haven't learned. As long as you're having fun doing it. Zuhax is stepping on the rake and blaming someone multiple times and blaming someone else is even worse. Yes. Yes. Worst case, it might be someone else's fault the rake was there the first time. It's not someone else's fault the rake was there the second, third, fourth, the fifth time. So, worst case, you can't do it multiple times and still hold on to that. And no matter whose fault it was, you still got a knot on your head. Shop 209 put a clutch disc in backwards once. All of us who've worked on stuff for decades have done goofy stuff, and all of us have. And when we can look at it and just, oh man, been there, done that, laugh at it together, learn from it together, have fun together, it's all good. Stan Weiss and Vizar got that sorted out in 2010. Yeah, he's got some interesting things out there. But again, he's one person who's figured out a lot, and you look at him and other people who have figured out a lot, and you kind of figure out collectively that their compasses point north, right? And so we figure out from that what's right for us. And we do that with an open mind and being humble and trying to learn. Mopar's Mustangs and me, I'm still trying to get this 8 1/4 done so I don't have to make it my second failed ring and pinion. I'll take your time with it. Bigfoots and Mopar says, why do you guys step on rakes? I don't. I let those leaves rot. No, what I was using a rake for was doing some cleaning. I was cleaning some debris with it. Johnny C! Exclamation point says one YouTuber purchased one of the cars featured on Steve Magg's channel. He bought the 67 Malibu and going to fix it up. Well, cool. Dudes with wrenches said angry people have a hard time learning. Yeah, I could see that. Arthur Fiddler says, I'm hoping to make a palsy rear end stronger than it would be open to resist abuse. I'm not sure exactly what you're saying there. Rabbit Transit Garage. He tells himself to replace things in pairs like brakes and in sets, yet I still don't, and it bites me. I try to tell myself I don't need to do that, and yet I still do it. It just bugs me to do something on one side and not the other. Doorbell, we have Dr. Art at his library.
Yeah,
on, sir.
Well, I figured I'm just working on some stuff up here in the office, and you're always hopping on mine, so I figured I'd return the favor, hop on yours for a minute, and see what's going on.
What's happening, man?
Today was work during the day, and then Christmas lights in the house and outside the house.
Look at you being all classy with your collared shirt there and such.
Yeah, well, it hides the rope burns.
Glad you're here.
Yeah. What's the like I said, I just popped in.
Yeah, well, we're just hanging out. This is going to be the last live I do that's just freewheeling like this for a good while, because we're going to be at PRI next week, and we're planning to do a live. It'll be Dallas and Professor P and I, maybe some others, live from the Indiana Convention Center next week from PRI. And then I've got a guest for next Friday. So can't announce that just quite yet. Got to get that confirmed, but I got a guest for next Friday. You guys will really like it. And then I've got more guests planned out throughout the winter, because we're going to roll back into the roll up for the 2023 No Name Nationals. And that's when things start rolling fast. I mean, during the season running up to No Name Nationals, it was hard to get everybody scheduled. So it's just, this is a slower time of year for lives, which is good because I got plenty to do besides lives. But that's changing. So that season is kicking right back up here soon.
All right. No, it's lives have been quiet lately, just because it's kind of off season in football and everything like that. And if I had time, I'd try to set people up for guests and stuff like that. I just don't have the time during the week to do all that.
First Responder Garage wants to know why the 8 1/4 goes in the Dakota RT and Durango and the 9 1/4. I think because they figure the RT is used more as a car, and the 8 1/4 is lighter. The 9 1/4 is more of a truck rear end. That will be my guess, but I like the 9 1/4. I don't like that it has C clips, and the factory sure grip units for the 9 1/4, the late ones, like from the early 2000s, they have this thing I hate. They have this little hardened insert that goes on the cross pin. You can break that thing. And when you do, the cross pin starts working back and forth, wearing out the cast sure grip unit. And to me, it would have been better off if they had either made those hardened steel inserts bigger so they didn't crack, or just left them out, so that you wouldn't have them break and then create a slop so that the pin can bang back and forth. It's like they should either made them bigger or not at all. But that was just, to me, a bad design. But both of those can be remedied. The rear end itself is really good and strong. That's what I plan on putting in the van. I'm going to upgrade the van with a 518 overdrive and a 9 1/4 with more gear. Make a good tow rig.
That one, yeah. Yeah, that'll be nice. Give it a little bit more snot when you need it.
That van is cleaner underneath than it is up top. I think I'm going to take a picture of the underside of that van. Nobody would ever believe that the underside of that van goes with the exterior of that van. I mean, it doesn't even have any surface rust anywhere. It looks like it was made last week. It's got to be the least rust-free vehicle certainly I've ever had. I mean, it has less rust underneath than some vehicles I have seen new on dealership lots. Like the galvanizing all looks like it was done yesterday. I'd take a picture of it and put it up.
And it wasn't undercoated or anything from originally? Or
no, it's never been undercoated.
What the hell happened to the top?
Well, so in the 80s, there was a big class action suit and recall over paint. GM got the worst of it, I think. Chrysler had the same thing. And it was from, I don't know what years it was. It was from sometime in the mid-80s to the early 90s. They changed the process on paint, and it wouldn't bond as well. And it would flake off and chip off real bad. And all the automakers had this. It was from the mid-80s to maybe early 90s. And you still see cars like that running around today, and that van is one of them where the paint would just come off and disbond from the primer. It's when they first started doing that. The primer they used was really good. They just didn't figure out how to make the paint stick. All right. And Chevrolet had a big class action suit, and they repainted several cars, but it got really watered down how much they would pay, and then it kind of time ran out and people forgotten about it. But that was a thing at one time. And that van is one of those. You don't see that problem at all on the vans 10 years older or 10 years newer.
John Wilburn.
He's seeing if he can get permission from Mrs. Dr. Art to be on here.
You know who it is.
Max Wedge Dick Dastardly says after his first day in the 60, he's never had to cover up. Yeah, those are great axles. Those are great axles. No doubt about it. Oh, this is wild. I don't know why I got this just now randomly, but a friend of mine sent me this just out of the blue right now. This is me putting the floor pan in his truck. I have absolutely no idea why he sent me this, or he might be watching, but anyway, that's me welding a floor pan in a 76 F100 a couple years ago. I didn't even know he took that. Floyd's Garage says he remembers the paint debacle. Yeah, Oldsmobile was awful. Oh, yeah. The big three, all of them were like that. I don't think the Japanese cars used that process. I don't think they got that. But anyway, when they repaint them, it's not a problem. We use a different kind of paint. But yeah, that paint, the original paint color it's a metal flake blue, and it's beautiful. And it's hard to see for all the, the exterior mess going on. But anyway, I want to repaint it, and that's what we want to do. Go back with that. I'll map the stripes out so that I always have the possibility of putting them back, but I doubt I will. First Responder Garage is correct. It is better to put in a shim in place of crush sleeve. No doubt about that. So it just makes them handle abuse more. But to tell you the truth, 8 1/4, I'd say if you break it, let it roll. It's time to upgrade anyway. Yeah, AMC 20 has that crush sleeve too. AMC 20 has a giant pinion gear and big beefy axles and all of that, and then it's like they have these keyed hubs that go on the axles, and they have crush sleeve, and they took this really beefy axle that did several weak places to make it break. The Whitetail Rancher says back when I sold cars in the 80s, we would have to repaint brand new cars. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That paint was defective. Yeah, he knows what I'm talking about. First Responder says the 9 1/4 is almost as strong as Dana 60. Well, 90% of it is, yeah. But boy, those couple places that those couple of places where they scrimped. Like one thing I don't like about the C-clip axles, they use a flat roller bearing with no race for the axles. So if you get that, if the axle gets any amount of trauma that gets it just a little bit bent, just a little teeny tiny bit, I mean enough that you can still run it down the highway and just, maybe it's just an out of balance wheel. I've actually seen this. What'll happen is those bearing rollers are really hard steel. They will chew a groove in that axle and give it a place to break. It scares me. When I have them out, I really inspect them to make sure they're not chewing into the axle. I've seen that happen on some Chevrolets. To me, the best solution, don't have C-clip axles. I like the tapered roller bearing, or either the tapered roller bearing, or actually I like the green bearings. I like the ball bearings. The Pro Stockers actually use a double row of ball bearings for the axles. So you don't want a corner with them, but they get rid of a lot of friction. I just never cared for having those rollers directly on the axle shaft. It always just says, man, you're going to get a place with enough wear, you're going to make a little groove around it. Once that groove is there, you got a place for it to break. And Dean says that I work on
unfriended by Dean.
Yeah. Yeah, trying to think who. I don't know. I know I could win.
Well, like I said, John, I just wanted to hop in for a minute.
This is Andy and I on the side of the road right here.
Mm-hmm. Hanging out in Tennessee. Yeah.
What do you got new going on, Dr. Arch? Your winter time is just now ramping up.
It's been cold, and the only thing I got going on is I'm waiting on GTR parts, just like in the movie. And then the probably tomorrow I have to build a new downpipe for the new turbo on the Ranger. I get that done, then I can pull the cop car in and fix the harness in that, and I'll be good until we just finish painting on the one Falcon.
What ET are you going to run at No Name Nationals 2023? Are you going to be the first vehicle down the track again?
I'd like to be that. I think that would be neat. the new version, old Red Sanford 2.0 will probably be at least a second quicker in the 8th.
Oh, wow. You're flirting with sixes then, right?
Oh yeah, it should be like it should be a 650. I would.
Oh gosh. Oh man, that's faster than I thought. I was estimating most people are trying to get about a half second quicker. You're really swinging the bat.
Well, I found out that the tune-up that I had in it was so soft that as soon as it hit boost, it dumped all the timing. So I was only on 7 pounds of boost, but it dropped the timing all the way down to 14 degrees. So it was just like, bleh.
Yeah.
So I changed some stuff in the computer and with the operating system and the way the mapping is and everything like that. So now if I have, 7 pounds of boost, I still have 22 degrees of timing, and then it tapers off until you go to, 10, 12, 15 pounds. So, and the wastegate spring was real soft, so it only would let me have 7. Now it'll have, 10 to 12 easy.
Oh,
and then I got to put a bigger turbo on. So, I'm just, it was a learning curve, and now I'm, a little more blood's going to come out.
Nice. You still going to cruise it?
If I could do a 650 with a foot brake, I'll be happy.
I'd take that all day. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to try a trans brake in it at any point? You're getting
maybe
close.
If I decide I want to start breaking stuff, yeah.
Yeah, you're getting close to needing one with that kind of ET. You can get with old Patrick, because Patrick sure likes to break stuff.
I don't know. I'm a cheap bastard. I can't, it pains me to break stuff.
He likes to break stuff. I think it's a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
If Patrick can't break a car in half, he doesn't think he's running hard enough.
He was trying, and then he found out he had some tune-up issues also. So
first responder garage.
I got plenty of headroom to add, probably 150 horse. So
yeah, you got room. You got room to grow with that thing for sure.
Mm-hmm.
How much tire are you running on it?
It's a 275.
You going to get in the 28-10-5 class next year?
I should have got in it this year. I thought, I was like, but then I was watching some people run. I'm like, damn, if because one or two of them spin, one or two of them broke. I could have, you could have went rounds just A to B's. So.
Could have, should have, would have, didn't.
Yeah, didn't.
We're gonna run it again. I expect the format will be similar, $100 bill to enter, but I would say it's going to be really competitive. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. So it's I'll be in it this year.
Sounds great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's a 26.5 275. It's a 50 series. So if I find out I need a little bit more tire, I got room to go up to a 60 series to a 28.5. So
I use the tire rules on that based loosely on what the Texas guys do. That Ryan from Streetcar Chronicles, they have a league down there where they've got the tire sizes ironed out, and they have done all the math on that. And I like that rule set they use for tires. So I'm going to get his formal list, and we'll have it in case we have any oddball tire sizes. But by and large, it's 275, 60, 15, or 28, 10, 5.
But I plan on having the fastest pickup truck there.
Okay. Well, you realize if you're going to run about a 650, you know who else is going to run close, right? So yeah. I consider that shots fired, and I'm going to tell him you said that if he's not still on here.
Well, I may have to have him run no bottle.
Hey, check this out. I'm doing an impression for you, Dr. Art. Guess what this is? This is Andy Webb flying away from you.
Well, maybe I have to have him leave his bottle at home, and then.
Yeah, that truck's gonna be interesting because it's a heavy truck,
Mm-hmm.
but the heads have not been touched yet, and the rings are gapped for nitrous.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
He's
there's so much more that he can do with that thing.
Oh, he's going to spray it. Yeah.
He can make 1,000 horsepower probably. Well, he can definitely make 1,000 on the bottle, but he can make probably 900 on motor with that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And version 2 of the Mix to Boss, he's going to get a different cam. That thing actually has a part number Howard's cam for it.
Oh, just
that's not even custom ground for that thing. So there's 800 horsepower just with a freshen up, changing the cam, doing a little touch up work on the heads. That'll be 800 right there.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's just doing the top end. So
yeah,
well, and then he makes concessions for the intake too. See, he's running a cast intake to be nostalgic. If he were to run something like a Holly High Ram or sheet metal or something, that'd probably be another 50 horsepower right there. But
yeah, that's true. But I maybe have $5,000 in my whole truck. So
that's right.
Not just in my exhaust.
And your truck too probably isn't 3,000 pounds, is it?
No, it's 2,500.
Oh gosh, yes, even that's what I was gonna say. That Casper is 4,080 with Andy in it on the starting line.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so yeah, that's gonna be interesting. That'll be good. That's actually gonna be a really good race. I'm digging it. You know what? We've got a lot of guys who are going to be in the 6s, so who knows? Maybe we need an index class. We'll see. Whitetail Rancher's got more than $5,000 than his lawnmower.
Well, he probably has a badass lawnmower, though.
Oh yeah, that sounds great.
Mm-hmm. But that's the plan. And if I get upset by a big weight F100, well, that's okay.
Yeah, losing to Andy's nothing to really, it's not like you got to do a walk of shame. That's okay. I just lost to the guy that used to have a mod motor world record, so I'm not too depressed.
Right. I'm running a junkyard Chevy engine with an eBay turbo. So
exactly. No, that Boss is cool. He's got some really nice stuff in that. It's a cool truck, cool engine. I like everything about it. That truck still runs the gas tank in the cab behind the seat, but I think he's going to take that out and put it in the bed and do some other things. But it's surprising how much of that truck is still just like it came. Still has the wood grain panel on the tailgate, so it's definitely not something that was built as a race car. That is a pickup truck that just got out of hand being fast.
No, it's a super cool truck. So
yeah, authentic stuff. I'm surprised B&R isn't getting called out more. B&R is going to bring his 1970 Pontiac Ram Air 455 and call people out, right? Rabbit Transit Garage says, if I have a turbo lawnmower next year, can I run it? That's a good Dallas and Deke question, because we actually thought of lawnmowers last year, and we were concerned with how fast some people are making lawnmowers, and we don't want anybody getting greased out there on the track. So I'm not saying no, but it's something I definitely got to get with Dallas and Deke about. Our tech guy, Deke Denny, great guy. He'll be back, but we're going to have a more streamlined tech process next year.
Cool. All right, I'm going to pop off here, John.
But, see you, Dr. Art. Thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks for having me on, and we'll talk to you later.
Hey, appreciate you. Thanks, man.
All right, see you.
Have a great evening. Oh, no, I got used to being in the small window, and then it enlarged again. No accident nationals. Correct. Correct. You know, we didn't have anybody get hurt at all at the no name. The closest we had to somebody getting hurt was Blake and Austin foot racing, being all juvenile and having fun on the starting line. Uh, After the event was over on Saturday, and Blake tripped. And anyway, nobody got hurt, but that's the closest we had to having an injury there. And man, I'll take a good record like that. I'm glad everybody was safe. We had a pretty big EMT bill because the days were so long, and had 2 days, 2 long days, track hot. So the EMT bill, plus they're commanding more money now. And so that bill was high, but I'm so glad that the biggest thing the EMTs had to do was help supply us with a little bit more light off of their ambulance for the burnout competition. And if that is all the EMTs have to do with the No Name Nationals, I am thrilled. Lunar Outlaw Garage, how is everyone doing tonight? Well, so far, so good. You see it. We're just hanging out. Travis needs to get going on his mystery build. Well, time is a ticking. We don't know exactly how much time yet, but time is a ticking. And in the coming weeks, I will be announcing how much time is ticking if you want to debut it at the No Name Nationals. Robert Magny got his engine transmission installed today. You email me, Robert, if I may show it, I'll be happy to show it on here. Just let me know that's okay, and I will. I always like to make sure, because people send me stuff unless I actually have permission. I don't. But this is the Robert Magny sent me, and if he says it's cool, I'll put it on the screen. He's got a really cool build going. He'll send me pictures, but he doesn't put anything on his channel. He says definitely okay. So this is Robert's 390 Magnum Stroker that he built. He just built it, just had it run. Got it in the truck. I mean, look at that. He's done a beautiful restoration on this. He's got his chassis all painted. The paint of the truck is beautiful. That project is really looking good. Max Wedge says he may go to Caltrack someday, has most of the stuff, but doesn't have any traction problems. I got to tell you, Caltracks are great. They are the solution. Those things work. But I got to tell you, it's hard to beat good old Mopar Super Stock springs. Even their factory springs, a lot can be done with them. Mopar just had a better setup with that short front segment. But I got to tell you, in my book, yeah, you can do ladder bars, 4-link, and that stuff. But in my book, if you can't do it with the factory springs on a Chrysler, Caltrack's the way to go. Yeah, Colene's asking, Robert, are you not going to do videos? He should. He's got great content. Robert, if you need any help getting started on posting your content to YouTube, I can show you how to make a short. Really, you can make a short and post it to your YouTube channel about what you're doing on your truck or your paint and assembling. You can do a short with less effort than it's taking you to attach it to the email. Because there's a lot of people who'd love to see that build. The truck is beautiful. It's turning out great. I mean, it's a full restoration on a 1990 Dodge. .318 stroke to 390. Smaller bore is easier to fill. Per first responder garage there. I'm picking up a Ram lawnmower with badges and pickup bed, Jay says. Well, that's cool. Lunar is waiting to see what the inside of the Buick engine looks like. It had no business driving down the street, let alone 2,500 miles home. Well, I got to tell you, that was a lot of fun. I met Lunar on his journey back with that car, and boy, those guys at O'Reilly's were mesmerized when he rolled up in that. They thought that was really cool. Lars is here. Track and Travel with Rick is here. Dust Devil is in and out, but he's back. Glad you're here. Well, Colleen's saying that based on her son's channel, that Robert has more than enough material. Well, Robert definitely has more than enough material. If nothing else, Robert, you can make a short of what you're working on now and just to share. I think you'll find that people will really dig it. And if you need any help with that, feel free to reach out. In fact, probably in the spring, we're going to be restarting the content creator workshops. Perfect place for you for that. Yeah, Lunar met up with me and my mom. We were doing some video of the van. Second time I'd ever driven it, and we were out with the van and that. And so I asked Lunar. I said, "Hey, where do you want to eat, man? Stop for lunch. We got everything here. Where do you want to eat?" He wanted to eat at Chick-fil-A, which makes sense because when you're from up north, you don't have those things. So when I tell that to people, it's like, "Yeah, man, that's where we want to meet because we don't have those in New York." That makes sense. October Fiddler says, "I can see why people would make one, but I can't understand why anybody would watch one." Well, if the short has the content I want to see, then that's what I'll watch. I mean, I don't get to choose what format somebody puts it in. Max Wedge is saying, "It was funny. Amish kids loved my Red Express truck." So we have an Amish community. It's about 100 miles from here. And I've been over there a few times to pick up guys that I've had to give me estimates on doing paint and plaster and stuff. And they don't drive. But when you go over there, there's all these big trailers there. And I'm like, okay, I know you guys aren't pulling those with horses. So what do you do? And they say, "Oh, we have English guys with big diesel trucks come in and move the trailers for us." So they can own the trailers. They can't own the trucks that pull them. It's interesting. Yeah, so Lunar says we're finally getting a Chick-fil-A about 20 minutes away in spring. There we go. There we go. Colleen said, "I was surprised to see how many people like the Charger slideshow." Yeah, one of my most popular videos is a slideshow. It's not a video. So spontaneously, when I was down in northeastern Georgia a few years back, I decided I was going to go visit the filming locations for the Dukes of Hazzard because a lot of it is still there in Covington, Conyers area. So I just went around and matched some stuff up on maps and did a little digging, and it's pretty cool. It's just a slideshow, and it probably has 5,000 views or better. Andy says his phone died. He's back. Yeah, we were talking about Casper a little bit. So Dr. Art is saying that his truck is going to be better than a second faster next year. He wants to be the fastest truck at the 2023 No Name Nationals, Andy. And it sounds to me like the kind of time he wants to run is going to be the kind of time you're not going to have any problem with. So are you going to let Dr. Art have the fastest truck at the No Name Nationals? Are you going to do that, Andy? Or is somebody else going to come out of nowhere? Or is maybe a square body Chad? Or maybe a Travis from Perpetual Projects? Or who knows? Maybe John Copel went in on that action and say, Haney's getting a, whatever. We'll see. Fastest truck at the No Name Nationals. If we have enough people vying for that, we might make us a little special class out of that. So Dr. Art's the one that's throwing down. And he's saying, "Sorry, doctor." There's his answer. There we go. Yeah, I think that we need to have some guys getting in on that. In fact, I think I'm going to tell some of our other truck guys, like Chad and like Travis, and some of these guys, these truck guys, say, "Hey, you going to let these two Ford guys fight it out for a trophy, just Ford guys, or are you going to apply some other brand muscle to this equation?" Whitetail Rancher has a 78 Little Red Express truck with 2,800 miles on it. Cool. That's really cool. First Responder Garage said when he lived in Ohio, they had a Chick-fil-A that stayed jam packed. Well, I got to tell you, my hometown had one since 1980, way back there, and they're all through the South. But they people get excited when they're in a place that hadn't had one, until recently. Cope and I are trying to figure out how to put a torque flight behind mixed up boss. I've actually been talking to Cope about that very thing myself. And also, I got another potential solution for that. So, Andy, don't give up. That can happen. I actually know another way that can happen that I don't even think Cope's thought about. We'll talk about that when we get off of here if you want. In fact, it's probably the easiest way to do it. And I don't know why Cope hadn't thought of it, but we'll talk about that after. If you want to, hit me up, text me after this live here. I'm going to go off at 10. If you want to, let me know, because it'll be a whole lot cheaper than the Ultra Bell. Just text me here in half hour and I can tell you what I'm talking about. And why Cope's never thought of it, I have no idea. Well, Whitetail Rancher, they're everywhere. You can check it out if you'd like. If you'd rather keep the mystique, you can do that too. Max Wedge Dick Dastardly wants to break into the 10s this year if it takes a power booster. You can do it. You can get the 10s in A. You got a stout big block. Yeah, Colleen lives in the heart of Chick-fil-A country and is convinced they put Coke in their chicken. I'm not impressed. Well, it takes all kinds. I like Chick-fil-A. Robert says the employees are very friendly. Chick-fil-A runs their restaurants right. They voluntarily stay closed on the busiest day of the week for restaurants and still have great profits and continue to expand. They have a good business model because they take care of their customers. And their employees, they don't have as much turnover as most places. Yeah, Andy's saying you got a 10-second run in there, Max Wedge. Yes, you do. So Lunar is he's got a 4-hour road trip to a hunting spot in the Adirondacks. Cool. Have fun. Yes, those headers are wicked, aren't they, Lunar? The Casper's headers look like you could roll a tennis ball down them and they'd fall out the other end. 2 to 2 1/8, I believe. That's stout. Takes a good bit of horsepower to support that, but Casper does have that. 708, and I'm sure there's plenty more just from tuning left. Andy, I was telling the chat, Casper came up earlier. I said that those heads aren't even ported. Those are as cast heads and a part number cam. I would say the first top end freshen up on Casper will be 800 horsepower. Yeah, so first responders talk about a pump mount. Yeah, that's how the Ultra Bells mount. They mount off of the pump, and on a torque flight, they definitely are. I had another idea that is even easier, and I don't know if there's some reason it won't work, but I don't know. I'll tell it to Andy later. Let's see here. Max Wedge is getting a 3-angle valve job and 600 lift cam going in by spring. Andy, that would make a great topic sometime. We could, yeah, he says he's a cam and intake away from 800 horsepower. Yeah, for sure. That's what I said. That thing, not only, can you port the heads haven't even been ported. And not only are you running a part number cam, just running a cam made for that engine would do a lot, but running like a Holly high ram, and you got what, 35, 40 horsepower putting the Holly high ram on the 393, you can get even more than that mixed up Boss. So yeah, that's definitely an 800 horsepower NA engine right there. So the very first debut of it's over 7, and I think that engine has a few more incarnations to come. Tunnel Ram for the win, yes. Tunnel Ram Mafia. Alter Fiddler's asking, who can find me the exhaust manifolds for a long ram setup? Early big block Mopar. I have the intake, but the exhaust is far harder to find. I don't know. That's one of those things that the people who have them know who's got what, but it's not a common part. Andy says the heads as cast can support up to 830. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that a bit. Those heads are very impressive. For those of you who haven't followed along back when Andy first started building that engine a few years ago now, Andy, gosh, you started on, I think, 3 years ago? Go back and look at that. That is a really impressive build. And the architecture of those heads, the parts alone are really something. Dust Devils, we need member-only jackets for the Tunnel Ram Mafia. Yeah, Otto, you'd have to be at the right place at the right time. Exactly. That's not an easy thing to find. Whitetail Rancher says he might very well have them, so maybe that right place and right time was here on this live. If you guys want to exchange info or whatever, each of you are welcome to send me an email, john@princetondragway.com, and I can make that hookup if you guys need exchange contact info that way. I know it's a lot harder on a live to do that because they don't allow you to click on channels for whatever reason. I don't know why YouTube doesn't allow that. That's stupid, but they don't. But you guys can both send me an email if you want to john@princetondragway.com, and I'm happy to share your contact info with the other. Just let me know. Floyd's Garage, I won't answer for DV. I'm sure we'll have him back on a live sometime here soon. But DV is a good vacuum tuner, like with Vacuum Advanced Distributor and everything. So, yeah, he does more with vacuum than what most guys can because he understands it well. Auteur says there are guys that say you don't need the supports on the ends, but they're the kind of guys that never drive the car. Yeah, that's true. It all depends what you're going to do with it. Ron English says 230 comes early. My goodness. Better you than me. Andy said it's hard to make 4,000 pounds fast, naturally aspirated. Yes, Andy, but if it was easy, you wouldn't be interested in doing it. Lunar sent me this, assuming it's okay to show. He said this came out of the Buick. Apparently had a bent valve. It's a bent exhaust valve. Look at that. You can see it. That thing is really leaning. Lunar, your valve angle is supposed to be as installed, not in the valve itself. Yeah, you're supposed to have 18 or 23 degrees as installed in the head, not in the valve. Let's see here. Tales from the Junkyard is asking 273 Formula S heads or 360J heads on a 31. A 31 what? I'm not sure what you're asking there. On a 318, which is better? Depends what you want to do with it. I mean, the 318 and 273 use the same heads for a lot of stuff. Usually the 360 heads have that 188 valve. They'll flow a little better, but they also have bigger chambers. So it depends what you want to do with it. I mean, Tony's bottle rocket is doing really well with a set of ported 318, 273 heads with closed chambers. But those 360J heads work really well. They flow really well. I actually think that that's a good valve size for 3.8. That's a 188 intake valve, 160 exhaust. Okay, Whitetail Rancher, I will send that over to Auteur if he gets in touch with me. Yeah, you want the small intake valve 318. Yeah, but the J head is a 188 valve. I mean, it's not a 202 valve. Whitetail Rancher, I did not get that. But here's what I'm going to do to make sure you have it. This is my email. Dr. Fiddler, you said you're looking for those manifolds, and Whitetail Rancher says he might have them. So if you want to send me an email to that address, and Whitetail Rancher does too, I'm happy to exchange your contact infos, because I know that for whatever reason, YouTube will not let you on a live click on somebody else's channel and go to it. They used to. Why they don't do that anymore, I'm not sure, but they don't. So I'm just offering to help facilitate that for whatever it's worth. I like it when our viewers can collaborate and win. Max Wedge Dick Dastardly, I'm going to put 273 adjustable rockers on eBay, but I don't know what to ask for them. Well, I don't know what to tell you, man. I'd love to have a set of those. I'm all about them. Those are great rockers. So just think about what you want for them and let me know. I've got something that may need them, actually. I really, yeah, I've got something I'd like to put them on now. There you go, Whitetail Rancher. You've got my correct email. Colleen, do you mean Don English? And my switchboard, Sarah? I'm happy to do that. Just want to make sure. One thing people tend to forget, the valves open pretty close to the center of the bore versus a small block Chevy. So valve shrouding isn't as big of an issue. Well, Mopars too have an 18-degree valve angle. So small block Chevys, you know, their original head is 23, and the SB2 heads are 18 degrees. So Mopar already has that valve angle right from the factory. Battery says, wait, you're live? Yeah, man. We're only live at this same time, like every week for years, but yes. Max Wedge Dick Dastardly make an offer. Well, I'll tell you what, man, I got your email. I'll talk with you about it. I actually have something for that right now. Seriously. I hadn't thought about it yet because I hadn't gotten that far, but that's a bridge I need to cross. I could use those. Mr. Blake, you doing all right? Time's flown by pretty good tonight. Man. Yeah, so there we go. There's Whitetail Rancher. Got your email. Auteur Fiddler, I get yours and I'll send it over to you. And Whitetail Rancher, if he doesn't email me, don't know what to do with that yet. So I'll hang on to it until he does. But he's the one wanting the manifolds, so I would expect he would email me. John@PrincetonDragway.com. Bad Tree says, I'm doing awesome, job. Living a dream. I'll tell you what, if you haven't watched Bad Tree's last live, he gives you a glimpse into some of his wintertime content. It's worth going over to check it out. So go check out what Blake has got coming up this winter. You will not be disappointed. Blake always likes to bring it, and bringing it he is. So, Fiddler, got your email. So there we go. Right after the live, I'll exchange those for you guys. Thank you, Whitetail Rancher. I appreciate that. Yeah, lots of things going on here this winter. There's a lot of people that are going to step up. See, now that we got this family reunion at the same time, we're going to have this every year. It kind of gives us a season as YouTubers, which we didn't have before. There wasn't really a season. It was just you put up videos, and there's 12 months in a year, and there's 365 days in 3 out of 4 years, and we just kept doing stuff when we did it. But see, now that there's a season, I think it's caused everybody to up the ante, because now there's an event, season to season, year to year, thing to thing. I think it helps. Jay, I moved the seat back about a foot. Let me tell you, I've got really long legs for my height. My legs are longer than most people, 6 feet tall. And I don't know how some people drive with the seat up as far as they do. They drive with their knees just it's crazy. How does anybody do that? Wouldn't you just be worn out after about 10 miles of holding your knees, just driving like this? I don't know how they do it. Everything, I have the seat. Very rarely do I get in anything that I don't put the seat all the way back and still have a bend in my knees with my feet on the pedals. Now, I know, like state police driving school says, that you should be able to have a bend in your knees with your feet flat on the floor behind the pedals. I get it, but man, if you do that, you're driving pushed up into your pedals pretty uncomfortable, for me anyway. So best bet, have a short pedal travel. Sister puts the back seat vertical. I put it pretty close to vertical. I hate laying down while I drive stuff. I can't stand that. I see some of these people, they drive just leaning back like they're having to hold themselves by the wheel to see what they're doing. That's crazy. So in the Assault CRV, I have the bottom of the seat almost all, I think it's one click for being all the way back, if not all the way back. And then the upper part of the seat is completely vertical as far as it'll go, and then back just 3 clicks. So it's almost vertical, but to me, that's a comfortable way to drive. You're up alert. You can see what you're doing. You're not hanging from the steering wheel. And even with the seat that far back, I can push the pedals all the way to the floor and still have bent legs. I'm not reaching for the pedals at all. Can someone 6 feet fit in a 64 to 67 El Camino? Well, I'm sure if they're determined enough. Blake says 5'6". Blake could be 5'6" if he had his feet cut off. Blake's about 6'1". He's pretty tall. Yeah, see, Colleen's vertical -1 click. There we go. There's somebody else who likes to drive with the seat up. I know most people don't. First Responder Garage, I always thought the exhaust had a more dramatic effect on the cylinder fill than the piston actually moving in the air. Well, now that really gets into a lot of things, like your scavenging, your lobe separation, your timing of your vents that's pulling in your intake charge. That's a really meaty topic. And actually, I'm working on a live with guests that will do that justice. So bring that up. I've got a live coming up soon that I think we'll be able to get some good answers to that. Yep. Hey, yeah. Andy says I've seen it firsthand. Right. Oh yeah. If you look at okay, now I'm not going to dive into that, but I will say, well, if you look at the volumetric efficiency of like a pro stock engine, it's amazing. And they do that like what you're seeing there. One-eyed cat said that puts your head and torso behind the B pillar. I like to be where I can see and drive and be comfortable and stuff. Auteur Fiddler says, I think the two greatest myths in car guys. One, you need a restrictor in the thermostat spotter. It makes the water flow too fast to cool. Two, you need back pressure in the exhaust for best power. I know two is probably I've heard both of those, but I think two is probably my favorite one. But like I said, I got a live coming up that's going to be really good. I think you'll like that. It's going to be a really good high-tech live. Jeremy got a tunnel ram for the 402 today. Look out. So the crew cab Dart is going to be coming with more. When I probably, odds are I won't see that car again until No Name Nationals 2023. If I see those guys sooner, that's wonderful. I'd hope to. Always glad to see the Bad Tree guys. But you know what? I would say that we'll see that for that event for sure at the latest. Of course, that wakes Andy up. Did somebody say tunnel ram? Yes, the green Dart, indeed. I love that Dart. That's great. Floyd's Garage, I was watching 70s Super Sick. You mean Super Stock? Because Super Stock is super sick. I was watching a guy's channel. His username is Dave W. And he puts up all of this vintage racing, mostly NHRA stuff from the past. And there's one thing I'd like to find, and it was Steve Evans in the pits before the 1997 Pontiac Excitement Nationals in Columbus, because he had commentary on Jerry Ekman and Orndorff's nitrous explosion that happened in the pits before that event. They had a nitrous bottle hidden in the dry sump oil tank on that Pontiac Pro Stalker, and the bottle blew up. And it hit the trailer in the pits next to him and was laying on the ground leaking nitrous. It's caught as red-handed as you could possibly be. And I remember Evans had some interesting commentary on that. You can't find that anywhere. He says he has the episode and can't upload it because it keeps getting him a copyright strike. But I want to get that for some reason. That's a neat channel. He's got lots of vintage stuff, mostly NHRA because mostly what was televised. But he has a lot of good stuff he puts up from time to time. Auteur Fiddler says, I wish I could fit a supercharger under the stock hood of a first-year 331 Hemi. When you say that, are you talking about what the 331 Hemi came in? Because I would think you could in those cars. They had like a foot over top of the engine or more. Whitetail ranchers in dire need of another cup of coffee. I am not a coffee guy. More power to you if you are. To me, I think where they get coffee is whenever stuff burns down, they go and, scrape it all up and then drop it through a grinder with some water. I think that's where coffee comes from. It just smells like burnt wood to me. Yes, 52 Saratoga Club. I'm telling you, I wouldn't be surprised if that would fit under the hood of that thing. Although it would be really tricky working out how to do your carb. Man, I don't know if that would fit or not. If it would fit in anything, it would be that, but I still don't think you're going to have enough room. Forget an air cleaner, but still, that would be an interesting one. You should be able to measure it and find out. Yes, BNR is telling Pure Pontiac he had comments turned off. I will say one thing: check your settings, because I know that sometimes I can't get notifications for channels for whatever reason, and some channels do not realize they have the comments turned off and so forth. And if you elect to have those settings, that's great. You do whatever you want to do. But if you do just don't realize, they really limit how much community engagement you can have. The carb is necessary to control the transmission, no substitutions. On a 52 Chrysler product? Why is that? I know that'd be the forerunner to a torque fly, but I still don't think that's vacuum controlled. Wendy says, I love the smell of coffee, but never drank it. I hate the smell of coffee, and I've never drank it. Floyd's Garage. Yes. Yes, Bad Tree says in South America, jungle cats eat coffee beans and dump them out, and somebody thought it was a delicious treat to sell. Yes, that is a great theory for where coffee came from. That is totally. I always thought it was when stuff burned down, like structures, they would scrape it all up and they would run it through a grinder with water. But I think that your theory is equally plausible for where coffee came from. Totally agree. Fluid drive is electromechanically controlled, not hydraulically, not vacuum. Then why does the carburetor have anything to do with it? Peckerwood Customs says, why would anyone thought to have ground up cat poop and call it coffee? I don't know. Why did anybody think to make meth? Make something with drain cleaner that you want to ingest. I don't know why people. Why did anybody think we need holes this big in our ears? I don't know why people think of this stuff. Many people laughed when I put a tunnel ram on a 305, small valve heads in certain angles, and ground them to seats till it built the 350. Load separation and seat flow is my friend. Well, Colleen says it's not a theory. Blake is correct, but I will say this: you know, we have a lot of things that are theories, so but we consider them to be accepted fact. Theory of relativity. I mean, nachos started on fire today with just oil on the headers. Well, that's always good. Carb sends signals of throttle position and vacuum. Yeah, that to me sounds like something you have nothing but problems out of. Whitetail Ranch. I have returned. I know. Big deal. Well, we weren't sending a search party, but it's not that we were unconcerned. Oh my gosh. Well, Floyd's Garage is telling me that we are approaching the weird hour. So rather than continue into the weird hour, what we'll do is that we'll stop here with Tales from the Junkyard's question here, and then we'll wrap up with that. And so we'll do that now. Is there a way to physically identify a 904 wide ratio gear set transmission? Okay, so obviously it's easy when they're out of the car, because the narrow ratios, the 245 first and 150 and 145 second, have the small sun gear. Okay. Yes, I keep stuff like this, like right here. Let's see here. If I'm identifying them out of the car, oh, here we go. Here we go, right here. The small sun gear is the narrow ratio. The big sun gear is the 274, 154. As far as identifying without taking them apart, there are some exceptions, but in general, the lockup torque converter 1981 and up 904 will have the wide ratio, as well as all your 998, 999 will have the 274 first and the 154 second, and that's lockup converter. The non-lockups, yeah, I know there were a few non-lockup 999s, whatever. I know that they're really scarce. Your non-lockup 1980 and down will have 245 first, 145 second on the 904. The 998 and 999 will have the wide ratios back as far as 1974. So anyway, there you go. And with that, we've wrapped up on something I know a tiny little bit about, but as Whitetail Rancher says, no one knows everything, and there's all kinds of stuff I don't know about transmissions, but I know that a little tiny bit about that. I hope that helps, sort of. If you have any questions, you can always shoot me an email. I can help you figure it out. We can get into the 10,000 day calendar. We can ask people who know a lot more, or whatever we need to do. But anyway, we'll wrap it up. I want to thank the mods. Some of them drifted through here tonight, like Andy and Blake. And thank you guys for joining us. Had a good crowd in here tonight. This will be the last freewheeling live we do for a little while. Back to a more normal schedule here next week. I will see you guys live from PRI, should be next. So, and man, we got a special guest Friday, a week from today. You guys won't want to miss that. I'm going to have it in concrete to make sure the schedule works out come Wednesday, and then I'll put up the thumbnail. But what I'm telling you is, this is an exciting guest, frequent contributor to a really big channel, and you'll really enjoy this guest. Has a lot of great stuff to share, and we should have that for next Friday. So, thank you guys for coming out. We'll see you all soon. See you again.